いや、俺アイラともっと仲良くしたいです。
つかさ。てめえロリコンか。
Plastic Memories Episode 2 is one of those second episodes that feels like it's working to set up this series rather than trying to be a good episode for itself. A lot of the bits from this episode were just saying to us, hey, we hinted at this in the last episode, now we're spelling it straight out for you. This is going to happen in the series. And that's actually kind of insulting, because most of us were already discussing these kind of things and saying this is what we think is going to happen. And we liked how subtle it was. They didn't need to tell us explicitly. Whereas in this episode, they just did shove it in our faces and say, yeah, this is what's happening, plot point, plot point, plot point. And so it just kind of feels like they're thinking we're kind of dumb and not really caring. Keep in mind, I still think this has a chance to be one of the most powerfully emotional anime in ages. I just didn't particularly like this episode because there wasn't anything really revealed that we hadn't already discussed from the last episode. Okay, so spoiler flag up, and let's get into the main bit of this review. So there's been a lot of background information revealed in this episode. Primarily, we found out that the main character only got his job working at the plant because his dad is friends with the manager. And if that wasn't the case, he'd probably have just about no job at all because he failed his entrance exams. We were introduced to a new character who works in the office called Yasutaka, and he's a very funny character. He's always avoiding his responsibilities and just joking around with his colleagues. He's very funny. Whereas on the other hand, the giftier that he works with as his partner, Shedi, is very serious and hardworking and really annoyed by his actions. So they're a very funny couple together. As well as Kazuki, who has a very good relationship with him. They back and forth quite a lot, and they used to be drinking buddies. Even now they still drink and hang out quite a bit. So there were quite a few good scenes in this episode separately. It was just the way they were played out that felt kind of lifeless. We saw that Ayla was kind of not recovering to the full level that a giftier should be at. She's very clumsy, she's very slow compared to the other ones. So she can't chase people when they run like she should be able to. When they were doing their retrieval, she flopped terribly and they had to apologize again just because she tripped over a wire out of nowhere and smashed her head, and it wasn't too good. She's not doing her job very well. And throughout the episode, it was suggested that she was rusty from working in the office so long. And that she needed physical training, which she was doing throughout the episode, to improve her flexibility and her skill set. But what we actually heard later on was that no, in fact, giftiers don't do that. They're like machines rather than humans. You can't work them out and improve their abilities. Once they start to decline, they start to decline due to wear and tear. And then you have to repair them rather than them getting better. So she isn't going to get any better. Now this really shocked our protagonist, but he was very set in his mind anyway, that because Ayla was trying her hardest to learn things, he was going to support her from the side and help her do her thing. He wasn't going to say to her, hey, you can't get any better, stop wasting your time. He decided, hey, I'm just going to cheer her on, and that's awesome. He's treating her like a person instead of like a machine, like he should be. Especially since he's working with her as a partner. Now, the biggest reveal, which we all saw coming but was still quite a big thing, was right at the end when we found out that Ayla only has 2,000 hours left to go until she's retired. Which, 2,000 hours, in case you're wondering, is 90 days. So 3 months, perfect amount of time for one season of anime. And the perfect amount of time for us to get really, really attached to her before she has to get retired. So, kind of sad, kind of messed up, and I think it's also kind of awesome the way that they're doing it in kind of real time. Like, we've got 11 more episodes of this to go, and she's got about 11 or 12 weeks left, which is just amazing. I like that because it means the same amount of time we're going to have bonded with Ayla and get to know her, that's how long the protagonist would have had to get to know her. And then we're going to be feeling the same kind of emotion he should be feeling at the end. Except that obviously he'll be in love with her and he'll have experienced it every day, whereas we get 20 minutes every week. It's going to be a very sad climax in 10 episodes when it's her time to retire and her body's already wearing down and already she's terrified and I don't know. It's going to be very sad. And there are some future plot points mentioned in this that may be important. In the opening, we see her diary. We see Isla's diary, which was mentioned quite strongly in the first episode. And we've also heard that the protagonist is planning on writing his own manual. So what I think is going to happen is the protagonist is going to start using her diary to try and work into a manual. And in that way, when Isla does get retired and have to pass away kind of thing, she'll know that there's a bit of her that's going to pass on. Every new giftier that comes to work with them to retrieve other giftiers will be reading her diary, her experiences, knowing that she was alive. And that will probably give her the closure she needs to let people know that she was around. So that may give her exactly what she needs to be able to pass on with a smile on her face. That's just my view. And yeah, I think that would be pretty cool if the protagonist works it that way. Make her quite happy. Overall, I'm going to give this episode a 7 out of 10, I guess. I still love the art style, even though there weren't any standout moments in this one. I still love the facial expressions, the little bits of comedy. The new character in the office is very good. I hope he comes back with more later on. And I just didn't like the way they just straight up revealed everything that we expected. I wish they'd left it still kind of hanging rather than shoving it in our faces. Should be terribly sad by the ending. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think Isla's diary is going to be more important in the future and that the protagonist will work it into his manual to keep her memory alive? And like and subscribe if you haven't to see more reviews from me. Thanks for listening, and I will see you next time.